The Post on Church Point Road in Gonzales would like to invite everyone to their newly renovated events hall, a beautiful 9,600 square foot facility that features a 5,500 square foot main hall and a separate 600 square foot conference room. Renters have access to our huge kitchen, large stage, tables, chairs, bar, and covered outdoor cooking. So plan your next wedding, party, conference, and more at The Post on Church Point Road in Gonzales.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
You could be driving.
Honda has won more U.S. News and World Report awards than any other brand in the last decade. And now you can add another one to the list, being named the best car brand of 2022. Come get your Honda today at Louisiana's #1 Honda dealer, Team Honda on Siegel Lane.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Today's edition of the Clarence Bud Show. Here's hoping all is well with you and yours in your world. Since the last time we had the opportunity to spend some time with you, roughly some 24 hours ago. Speaking of which, boy, what a difference a day makes, huh? If you've not yet looked out of doors or, for whatever reason, been out of the weather forecasting loop, you may not know what is, I was going to say heading our way, but actually impacting us as we speak. Talking about the anticipated front moving through today, and reading from the WBRZ ABC affiliate in Baton Rouge weather forecast, expect to see showers and storms rolling by late morning, as in right now. Storms today will be capable of a brief heavy downpour, gusty winds, and frequent lightning. Fortunately, there's only about a 20% chance that we will have severe weather in that regard. However, you need to stay abreast of the weather because once this front moves through, quote, temperatures will drop and drop fast. Expect temperatures, and this is typical Louisiana weather this time of year, you can expect the temps by the time you get off from work today to be in the 40s. This time, Marty said it's going to snow. Remember where you heard it first. The expected drop, obviously, will impact the Louisianians much more than other parts of the country. I mean, you know, quite frankly, we don't deal all that well with the cold. Light rain, temperatures in the mid-30s, going to be unpleasant, but shouldn't, at least as we speak, be something or anything, I should have said, that borderlines on dangerous. Obviously, pets, plants, pipes, and people, the elderly particularly, and those that are living on fixed income, have limited resources, check on them, folks. Be sure that they make it through this okay. Speaking of which, I know you've taken my word for it. You've called the state fire marshal and or your local fire department. So those of you that did not have, hopefully you now have a working smoke detector to help protect you and yours in the unfortunate event of a house fire. Also, speaking of Louisiana news, We didn't get the opportunity to talk about this yesterday, but there was, I don't want to say a remarkable event, but something that raised a lot of eyebrows when Governor John Bel Edwards this week came out and declared that the horrific Ronald Green incident resulting in the death of a man that was loved by his family and many others, the governor now says pretty much unequivocally that this was a racial incident. The Associated Press has gotten their hands on a recording of the meeting that Governor John Bel Edwards had, private meeting, with the Louisiana Legislative Black Caucus just prior to this week's press conference. The Associated Press reports that in this private meeting, the governor told the Legislative Black Caucus, quote, "Let me address this now and make this commitment to you. I will say that this was a racial incident, a criminal incident. I will say that." And true to his word, minutes later, in the opening remarks of his press conference, the governor said, and I quote, "I can't imagine if Mr. Green had been white that he would have been treated that way. We have to acknowledge racism when we see it. We have to call it what it is." Let me say for the record, I have no idea whether or not the incident was driven by racism. That will be for the ongoing investigations to determine. But what's a little troubling about this statement from the governor is, number one, how it demeans the experiences of any white person that's ever been stopped by state police and manhandled or had their rights violated. To say that I can't imagine if he were white that this would have happened is pure, utter conjecture. It is nothing more than speculation. And again, for any white person that's ever been pulled over by the Louisiana State Police, been beaten, involved in a shooting, whatever, what are you saying about their experience? But what may be more troubling than any of this is that the governor was called on the carpet for remaining quiet as the video was leaked and we all realized, whoa, this guy didn't die from a car wreck. It had nothing to do with his death. What I want to know, after coming out and pretty much saying unequivocally, oh, this was racism, when did you make that determination and what did you base it on? You follow me? If you have knowledge of something that, I don't know, maybe you can hear in the background of the audio of that disturbing video that they're hurling racial slurs, if you have evidence that individuals in state police have been posting racist things on social media, saying how they're looking forward to beating black folks, killing them, whatever, we should know that. But for the governor to make that determination and come out and say it publicly only after meeting with the Legislative Black Caucus, it makes one wonder. Now listen, y'all, I've been doing this for far too long to not know. Governor John Bel Edwards, and for that matter, any Democrat that wants to run for statewide office in a red state like Louisiana, you cannot win unless and until you have considerable black votes. That's just the reality of the day. It is what it is. And I understand full well nothing, as sad a commentary as it is, will get you more political hay with people of color than coming out and denouncing racism. Now, again, it's conspicuous that prior to the press conference, the governor had said, well, ever since I've seen this, when I saw the video, I said, that's criminal. But you never said it was racist. Not once in your comments about this have you alluded to this being an incident fueled by racism. Now, again, maybe the governor is simply playing the cards close to the vest. Maybe he knows something we don't know. But the timing of it all leaves more questions than it gives answers. When did you determine this whole thing was driven by race? What evidence do you have in that regard? And if it is found out that that indeed is the case, what are you going to do to hold these individuals accountable to the fullest measure of the law? And you know this, Governor John Bell Edwards and I don't see eye to eye on a whole lot of things politically. That is what that is. And there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing. It's one of the things that makes America great. We have the right to a dissenting opinion and to express it. But understanding how politics works, it makes you wonder. And at the end of the day, y'all, a man is dead. And it is despicable that anyone, not saying the governor is doing it, don't get it twisted, but it's despicable for anyone to play politics with this issue. It really is. We are heading up to the first break of this hour. When we come back, well, I'll preface this segment with this. Political maturity / Isaac Newton's third law of motion. You're not going to be able to figure it out. You're going to have to come back after the break to find out what it's all about. As we continue today's edition of the Clarence Buggs Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing.
You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents, and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345.
The Mazda CX-30, named an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus. Perfect for the journey ahead.
Start your journey in a new Mazda CX-30. Right here at Team Mazda on Airline.
Hi, gang. Clarence Bugs here, inviting you to come by Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard, where we tape the show live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 11 o'clock. Come by and feast on news, sports, current events, love of God and country, and lots of common sense, along with some of the best barbecue anywhere on the planet. 10655 Coursey Boulevard, Old School Barbecue, home of the Clarence Bugs Show.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Welcome back to today's edition of the Clarence Bugs Show. Be advised, starting this segment, at the beginning, it may sound somewhat disjointed. You may find yourself asking, okay, how do these two things tie together, where at face value, they have no relation to one another? Trust me, it'll come together. Malcolm X once famously talked about political maturity, and I'll paraphrase for you, saying that Democrats and politicians always tell us, you got to register to vote. Once you register, you got to vote. But they, and Malcolm said specifically, the leadership, quote unquote, in the black community, never talks to us about becoming politically mature. All they want is for you to register and vote Democrat, but never evolve past where you are from a political infant to political maturity. Keep in mind also the brilliant mind of Sir Isaac Newton gave us his 3 laws of physics, the third of which tells us that, hang in there with me, it's coming, I'm going to tie it together, tells us that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Remember that from school? It's encouraging watching what's going on around the country, discouraging on one hand, encouraging on the other, because more and more people now are waking up, particularly people of color, and how they've been treated by liberals. This week, 4 black Americans, who all happen to be residents of New York City, Marty said get a rope, filed a lawsuit against the city. Phyllis Coachman, DeRoy Murdoch, Catherine James, and Anthony Gilloys all filed suit claiming that the city's Board of Elections has violated the 15th Amendment by imposing a, quote, racially discriminatory policy that is set to drastically reduce the voting power of American citizens in New York City, and specifically black people in New York City. Quote, all of the relevant data demonstrates that a racially discriminatory purpose was a motivating factor in the passage of the Foreign Citizens Voting Bill. Now, for those of you that don't know, this will allow some 800,000 people, most of whom are here illegally, to vote in local elections in New York City. The lawsuit goes on to say, these concerns were raised by council members, but despite its discriminatory impact and the knowledge that the New York City Council was without legal authorization to grant foreign citizens the right to vote, the council moved forward anyway, passing the bill. The sponsors of the bill are aware, the lawsuit states, of this racial composition and passed the bill with the intent to strengthen the power of Hispanic and Asian voters and reduce the power of other racial groups. Of the approximately 1 million foreign nationals in New York, approximately 488,000 are Hispanic, 313,000 are Asian. What they're saying is the New York City Council, Democrats, purposely enacted a law to dilute the voting strength of black folks in that city. Now, let me get this straight. Democrats in New York that did this are the ones that will preach to anybody willing to listen that it's those evil conservatives that are trying to dilute black voting strength. You've heard it over and over again. Jim Crow 2.0. It never ends. And lo and behold, we now find out in the largest city in America, run by Democrats, they have engaged knowingly, according to the lawsuit, in racial discriminatory practices designed to reduce black voting strength. Now, here's where the two tie in. Malcolm saying, Democrats don't want you to grow up politically. They want you to remain a child. That way, all you do and all you know is to vote for them. Meanwhile, that was the action. Here's the reaction, the equal and opposite. These black folk in New York have filed suit after seeing through the cloud. They understand what's going on. But I saw something real disturbing, and I think it may have been, Marty, 3 weeks ago, Gary Chambers, running for Congress from Baton Rouge, aired his first television commercial. You know, him lighting up a blunt, sitting out in a field by himself. Gary Chambers, for those of you that don't know, is a well-known social justice warrior, local activist, and is running for Congress. In his first television commercial, he is sitting in a chair out in the middle of a field, and he lights up a blunt. Old white people, that's a cigar that's had the inside taken out and marijuana inserted. Okay? You learned something new today. His whole premise is this law is discriminatory, particularly against black people, and it affects them more than anything else. So out of curiosity, I started doing some research, looking at every possible thing I could find about Gary Chambers and his platform. It bothered me immensely that on his own website, his official Gary Chambers for Congress website, there's not one single mention, nor was it in the commercial, nor has it been in any interview I've seen, where he mentions the horrific homicide rate in the black community. As a young man of color, I would like to think Gary has to know better than most how many of our young black men are dying at the hands of other young black men? How are we supposed to develop political maturity when the people running to represent us apparently don't have a single clue about what is affecting regular, ordinary Americans of color on a daily basis? Now, I understand how politics works. You're running for Congress. You want something that's going to give you the, quote, most bang for your buck. Wow. If I sit out in the field and light up a blunt, you know how many young people are going to be in my corner? And I'm sure whomever it is that is running his campaign, they had to sit down and weigh the positives versus the negatives. Now, depending on who you are, you might be of the opinion Gary already has a number of negatives. I'll leave that to you to decide. But here's the problem, y'all, and it relates directly to political maturity. Gary Chambers, in launching this commercial, gives the impression, not saying it is, not saying it isn't, but it gives the impression that to you, Gary, smoking weed is more important than the thousands of young black lives that are being snuffed out every year. He lives in a city that just set a new all-time record for homicides. And as we all know, the overwhelming majority of these black folks in this record-setting homicide year are people that look just like Gary Chambers and Clarence Buggs. I understand, because it worked in the regard that he got national attention for this. But at the end of the day, it should be more about political maturity than exposure. It's disheartening that a young man of color would decide, or at least give us the appearance, that smoking weed is more important than young black men killing other young black men. If I can't expect that from a guy that wants to go to Washington, D.C. to represent us, how am I supposed to expect that black folks, hopefully, sometime soon, will become politically mature? Just a question. Bottom of the hour break. We'll get this out of the way. When we come back, this is CNN. Next on the Clarence Buggs Show. Stay close.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Driver assistance technology comes standard on every Camry model as part of Toyota Safety Sense, setting the standard for safety every time you're on the road, no matter the destination. Save on your Camry today at Team Toyota, I-12 at O'Neill.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with the Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Caught spiders. Premier Pest Services.
Welcome back to today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show. Let me make a little bit of an addendum to the end of the last segment. For those that may think that I'm, quote, picking on Gary Chambers. I guess I have to understand the nature of the beast, being that if you're running against an incumbent, which is tough enough as it is, and you don't have a, quote, record to run on, doing something that gains you national exposure will obviously help your cause. But what's sad to me is that the same thing could have been achieved. National impact, awakening voters from their slumber, trumpeting the plight of young black males in America and homicide rates that are just through the roof. You could have very easily achieved the same thing by, I don't know, set a camera up outside the East Baton Rouge Parish Coroner's office, or find a corner somewhere in the city where there's crime scene tape because of a recent homicide. And you then step into the camera and say, America, this is our future. The impact of national exposure could have very easily been achieved, in this case, by addressing something directly that negatively impacts more of the people that look like the guy that's sponsoring the ad than anything else. I don't know who's running the campaign. I am hoping that at some point this young man of color will come out and address this self-inflicted genocide and what, if any, plans he has to fix it. All right, moving on. You know, it's funny how sometimes when you come up with a moniker, a name for something, a catchphrase, a slogan, how it can come back to bite you. Remember, this is CNN. For years, when you heard that, you knew what it was all about, you knew what you were going to get, etc., etc., etc. Have you been watching what's happening at CNN? What is it with those folks over there? Maybe it explains a lot about the liberal mindset. In case you don't know, maybe you were watching CNN. Jeff Zucker, president, resigning this week after an inappropriate relationship with a subordinate was brought to light. Some are saying this was Chris Cuomo's way of getting back at Jeff Zucker for letting him go. But apparently the problems at CNN go a lot deeper than this. Of course, there's the 90% drop in their viewership in the last 12 months, but I digress. You realize two other high-ranking individuals at CNN are embroiled in a scandal that involves pedophilia, sex with children. Rick Salibi was the senior producer for The Lead with Jake Tapper, currently under criminal investigation following a Project Veritas investigation alleging Salibi solicited sexually explicit photos of a minor female. John Griffin, who worked as a senior producer on Chris Cuomo's show, was arrested in December on child sex trafficking charges. And of course, we all know about Don Lemon and his escapades, facing a lawsuit for sexual harassment. Kind of makes you wonder, what's really going on over there at CNN? Of course, now, you know, Americans, the old adage comes to mind, we might be slow, but eventually we get there. Americans are starting to wake up to the mainstream media, their hypocrisy, their shenanigans, their flirtation with less than honesty. Of course, now, don't want you to think I'm picking just on CNN. The liberal media, they wouldn't dare let CNN outdo them. I'm sure you've heard by now about Whoopi Goldberg of The View catching heat for her comments that the Holocaust wasn't really about race. It was about man's inhumanity to man. And of course, she came out and apologized. That night went on another liberal late night talk show and then doubled down on what she said. So ABC decides, all right, we got to do something, even though for my money it was on the wrist. They decided to suspend her for 2 weeks. Sources, quote unquote, are now reporting that Whoopi Goldberg is incensed at being suspended for 2 weeks. And as a result, she's now threatening to leave The View. Marty can hardly contain his excitement, being that that's his favorite show and all. Who? There you go. She's now threatening to leave The View. Now, for those of you that watch that show, I don't think you really have to worry. Oh my God, Whoopi's leaving. She's going to leave. She says she's tired of this. She's had enough. She ain't coming back. Let me refresh your memory of that long list of folks that made it known to anyone who would listen that if Donald Trump wins the election, I'm leaving America. I'm moving. I'm going to live somewhere else. Whoopi Goldberg was at the top of the list, y'all. So if you're worried, The View viewers, if you're worried that she is going to follow through on this, I wouldn't put a lot of stock in it. I mean, after all, she lied and told y'all that Donald Trump wins, I'm leaving. I'm moving out of America. Where did she go? Nowhere. Still here. Still here. Now with a bigger audience, making more racist statements, but that's what they do, y'all. That's what they do. No big, epiphany here. It's what they do. And ironically, I think God in his infinite wisdom knew what he was doing when he made our world round, although it's actually elliptical, but that's beside the point. With it being elliptical, round, whatever you want to call it, it feeds right into the old, what goes around comes around. How many people during her broadcasting career has Whoopi Goldberg castigated, called to be fired, said they need to be canceled because of racist statements? But apparently, that doesn't apply when it's Whoopi we're talking about. You can sit your butt up there and call people all sorts of ugly names, demand that the company fire them, they need to be kicked off social media, they shouldn't be able to talk to decent human beings. And when you get caught doing the same thing, some might say even worse, because it is a direct slap in the face of the millions and millions of Jewish people that were killed in the Holocaust. But now you get all upset because your boss gave you a little slap on the wrist and now you're threatening to quit. Like I always tell you guys and girls, don't listen to what they say, watch what they do. She has been the head cheerleader in charge of sniffing out racism, holding people accountable. We don't need to let them have the right in this country to free speech and anything else, unless and until it's her turn. Funny how that works, isn't it? Could not have happened to a nicer bunch of people. And the good news is, what goes around comes around, which means we are simply seeing the beginning of watching the left eat their own. Told you a couple of weeks ago you need to invest in stock in Orville Redenbacher, because all this is really going to be fun to watch. Get the popcorn ready. Here we go. Final break of today's show. We'll come back, put that big old pretty bow on this puppy, and wrap up today's edition of the Clarence Bugg Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats. The flavor says it all.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystonecountryClub.com.
The Post on Church Point Road in Gonzales would like to invite everyone to their newly renovated events hall, a beautiful 9,600 square foot facility that features a 5,500 square foot main hall and a separate 600 square foot conference room. Renters have access to our huge kitchen, large stage, tables, chairs, bar, and covered outdoor cooking. So plan your next wedding, party, conference, and more at The Post on Church Point Road, Gonzales.
Tremonti's has meat. Tremonti's has seafood. Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremonti's.com.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With private healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready. And health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Welcome back to the final segment of today's edition of the Clarence Buck Show. Want to send out some very hearty congratulations to all of the young men taking part this week in National Signing Day for college football. For Tiger fans in particular, I know that there was probably a little bit of consternation regarding Coach Kelly and what he would be able to accomplish with things shaking out the way they did as far as timing and the recruiting trail. Rest assured, Brian Kelly is serious, y'all. He closed out the first day of the signing period with most notably five-star linebacker Harold Perkins from Cypress, Texas. He at one time had committed to Texas A&M, but says now, as a New Orleans native, and Brian Kelly's personality and the atmosphere on campus led him to change his mind. What I think is particularly noteworthy here, 24/7 Sports, or 247 Sports, currently ranks LSU's class of 15 commits the 12th best in America. That's not bad for a guy who is new on the block, for a guy that arguably did not have as much time to recruit as others did, to put together the 12th best signing class in the country. Now, obviously, this is all conjecture. Nobody knows what these young men are going to do performance-wise until they get on the field. But the fact of the matter is, obviously, the brand is bigger than any one individual. And kids, at the end of the day, still want to play for LSU. Oh, and by the way, speaking of LSU, when the Super Bowl rolls around next weekend, the Tigers will be tied with the Florida Gators for the most number of players on the two teams' active rosters. Says a whole lot. And you know, it's funny, depending on what the play is and what the coverage is, when you watch Cincinnati play, it's like flashing back to 2019 and the absolutely amazing job that the Tigers did then. Somebody, unfortunately, is going to win and somebody's going to lose. But the good news is, regardless, there will be some LSU products on the field that will celebrate. Speaking of signing day, I knew this thing was getting ready to explode when the two new coaches for Southern and Grambling State were announced. If you follow SWAC football at all, you know that it's a very close-knit community. And the good thing about that is rabid support. The bad thing, however, is many times one program tries to cannibalize another, as we've seen. Grambling State reaching in, pulling the rug out from under Southern for a couple of commitments. But all that being said, the Jaguars racked up this week. And you know, it's so refreshing to see young people coming to the realization that, and you can attribute this to what you will, Coach Prime doing a great job at Jackson State, more social awareness, whatever you want to attribute it to. But young people are realizing, you know what? If I work hard, make the sacrifice, even if it's in a smaller venue, smaller school, smaller market, I can still go to the next level. It's going to be interesting to watch because with the transfer portal, NIL agreements, and everything else that comes along with that, football has the potential, even on the small college level, to reach new heights. And again, what goes around comes around. At one time, out of necessity, because it was the only place we could go, black athletes went to HBCUs, and if you open up the NFL record book, they are so prominently, and you could make the argument, disproportionately represented in the record books. I mean, you're talking about the likes of Willie Davis, Willie Brown, Tank Younger, Jerry Rice, Walter Payton, and the list just goes on and on and on and on. So hopefully this momentum will continue in the near future for HBCUs, and more important, for their fans. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the fans, and they deserve the best that they can get. Again, guys and girls, if you have been out of the loop today, I'm sneaking a peek outside the window there. Y'all can't see it, but I'm just telling you what I'm doing. The front continues to roll through. A possibility of severe weather exists with that. And you all know this. Anytime you have a warm air mass coming through and it collides with a cold air mass, you know the weather gets volatile. So, that being said, keep in mind as you go about your appointed rounds today, you already know where the traditional trouble spots are. Underpasses that flood, low-lying areas that don't have enough drainage, the whole nine. Don't get so busy with your daily life that you forget the common sense that the good Lord gave you to slow down, give yourself a little extra time, turn those headlights on, Louisiana drivers, and govern yourselves accordingly. But at the end of the day, I was trying to remember when I saw this and I went, whoa, when's the last time this happened? We're looking at a potential high today of 71. It is 9 minutes till 12 noon as we speak. By the time you leave the office today at 5 o'clock, it is expected the temperature will have dropped 30 degrees. We're talking from 71 to 40 in a span of 4 to 5 hours with a 12-mile-an-hour wind. Thank you, Marty. So, of course, that temperature of 40 degrees, figure in the wind chill, and you're probably going to have a feel-like temperature around freezing. Guys, girls, this ain't our first rodeo. We've been through this before. So, make the necessary preparations, use your common sense, and govern yourselves accordingly. 10655 Coursey Boulevard. Ooh, it's the home of the Clarence Buck Show, but it just occurred to me, I need to do a quick bit of housekeeping. Yesterday, got to see a great guy and introduced to some other great guys in his party. Sheriff Jeff Wiley stopped in to get some barbecue. I forget the names of the other members of his party. One was a U.S. Marshal. The other two, I think, were just local law enforcement. But since announcing that his career is coming to a close, he's going to spend more time with the family and home and friends, looks good. You look real good, Jeff. Great to see you. And there's another guy, and please charge this to my head, not to my heart. I walk in a convenience store yesterday, a place where I stop all the time, Marty, turkey wing place. These folks got the best turkey wings on the planet. So I stop in to get one on the way home, and I'm speaking to the owner. And you know how you can feel eyes on you in the back of your head? I finished the conversation with the owner. I turned to walk out, and a young brother, maybe half of my age, goes, "You Clarence Bugs. I know that voice anywhere." I said, "Well, yes, sir." He said, "Man, I love watching you on TV." Young brother, you have no idea how you blessed me. This guy had to be young 30s. And for him to have the wherewithal to listen, number one, to an old dude, to listen, number two, and maybe more important, to an old dude that's a black conservative. Say it ain't so, y'all. You talk about blessed my heart yesterday. Brother, if you were watching, you know who you are. Forgive me for not asking your name. I was trying to get home and tear into that turkey wing. I think he was there for the same reason. But it gave me hope, y'all, that the old adage is true. Well, I don't know if it's an old adage. It's lyrics from an old Tower of Power song that says you got to go through it to get to it. Had we as the African American community in America not been treated so badly by liberals, we might not have ever awakened to what's going on around us. But more and more and more of us with every passing day are willing to look objectively at what's going on, ask why, and then realistically entertain the answer. That's all I can ask for. As I have said, God knows how many times, when you tune in to this show, I'll never tell you what to think, but I guarantee you, I'll make you think. Time's up, y'all, and I gotta go. But this day kind of seems to be a trend lately, maybe more so than any other day in history. I'll give it to you. You know what? You're right. America, this place ain't perfect. But for this old boy and my money, it's the best there is. And God knows there's no place else on his green earth that I'd rather be. Speaking of the good Lord, you got the memo, right? You realize he loves you. And I hope you know that I do too. Best news you gonna get all day, son. There ain't a doggone thing you can do about either one. Take care, stay warm. We'll see you Tuesday. God bless.